Good morning, children, and welcome back once again to this session of video class for Standard 5 and subject Science. Hope you all continue to enjoy the video classes and do your question and answers. Now, children, we have already finished with 3 chapters so far. That is chapter 2, chapter 8, and chapter 9. Now it's time to move ahead. Today we are going to study about chapter 10, that is light and shadow. Now children, when I talk of light, the first thing that comes to our mind is a sight, seeing something away from darkness. That what first comes to our mind. Now, this light is a kind of energy that causes the sensation of a sight. Now, the objects that produces light are called sources of light. It may be natural or it may be man-made, that is artificial. Now, sun, as you know, is a natural source of light. Other man-made sources of light are the electric bulb, the torch, the tube light, candle. These are all artificial sources of light. So we may classify the sources of light as luminous objects and non-luminous objects. Now what are these luminous objects? The objects that have their own light. For example, just now I talked about the sun. The sun has got its own light. In fact, sun is also a star. So star has got their own light. Now even candle, this bulb, torch, lamps, these are all luminous objects. And the objects that do not have their own light are classified as non-luminous objects. Now, thus we can easily classify the things around the objects as luminous or non-luminous objects. Now, one of the important property of light is that light travels in a straight line. That means that traveling of the light in straight line is also called rectilinear propagation of light. Now you will find this property wherever we study light. So I have just summed the same thing on the board. Let us read on the board the same thing what I have just now said. Now light, it is a kind of energy that causes the sensation of a sight. Now an object that produces light is called source of light or are called sources of light. Example, the sun, that is a natural source of light. Electric bulb, tube lights, torch, candle, these are artificial sources of light. Now based on that we have got luminous objects and non-luminous objects. So luminous objects, the objects that give their own light are called luminous objects. Sun, candle, lamp, bulb, these are all luminous objects. And non-luminous objects, the objects that do not give their own light are called non-luminous objects. Example, chair, pen, pencil, wall, these are non-luminous objects. Now just now I was talking about the property of light. One of the most important property of light is light always travels in a straight line. And if any object comes in the way of light, it changes the direction of light. Light in fact cannot bend. And of course the formation of shadow is a direct consequence of this rectilinear propagation of light. That is, light travels in a straight line. We'll talk about that shadows little later. But as for now, to prove that light travels in a straight line, you have a activity 1 on page number 96. Now let us see what is this activity. This activity clearly proves that light travels in a straight line. So if you look on page number 96, I'll just see page number 96, we have activity 1. And what is the aim? To show that light travels in straight line. What are the materials required? A candle, a long straight hollow pipe, or a straw. Now what is the procedure that we are going to follow? Blow the candle. In fact, light the candle and hold a pipe in front of the candle flame in such a way that one end of the pipe is towards the flame. Now you must take precaution that the end of the pipe does not touch the flame. Now look at the flame through the other end of the pipe. You will, and next now bend the pipe and look the candle through it. Now what do we observe? Now our observation is that when the pipe is straight, the flame is seen clearly. When the pipe is bent, flame is not seen at all. Now this proves, or we come to the conclusion that light travels in a straight line. So that is a direct consequence of how light travels in a straight line. In fact, how do we see an object? Definitely light enables us to see any objects. Now when light falls on any material, three things can happen. Either the light will pass through that material, or it will be blocked by that material, light will not pass through that material, or maybe light may pass partially through that material. Now based on this property, the materials are classified under three heads, that is transparent, translucent and opaque materials. Now we are going to see one by one each one of them. Now children, let us see what happens when light falls on an object. So when light falls on an object, three things as I said can happen. Either the object will allow the light to pass through it, or it may allow partial light to pass through it, or it may not allow the light to pass through it. So we have classified the substances on the basis of this property as a transparent material, translucent material and opaque material. Now transparent materials are those which allow the light to pass through it, and the best examples are clean water, clear air. These are examples of transparent materials. Next, translucent materials. Now the material which allows light to pass through it partially, not fully, partially, is called a translucent material. And the examples are that butter paper, ground glass. These are examples of a translucent material. Very often you have used that tracing paper to copy something. So those tracing papers are also translucent materials. And the next is a opaque material. The materials which do not allow light to pass through them is called a opaque material. Now the things that you see around you, for example the table, chair, desk, pen, pencil, these are all opaque objects. So the same thing, let us read on the board once again. Now first, classification of substances when light falls on them. So transparent material, the material which allows light to pass through it is called transparent material. Example glass, clean air, water, etc. These are all examples of transparent material, and we can easily see through them clearly through the transparent material. Next, translucent material, the material which allows light to pass through it partially. Partially means not fully. partially is called translucent material. Example, ground glass, butter paper. Now these are called a translucent material. We can see only partially through them. And the third, opaque material, the material which does not allow light to pass through it is called opaque material. Example, pen, wall, table, chair, all are examples of a opaque material. And obviously we cannot see through the opaque objects. Now children, today we are going to do till here only. In the next class, we'll continue with the same lesson and we'll talk about the formation of a shadow, the characteristics and the related aspects of a shadow. We are also going to talk about the movement of the earth, and finally we'll talk about the eclipses by diagrams. We will study that. But as for now, we will stop here, and along with this I am going to send you again a small assignment which you need to do in your exercise copies and learn them. Christmas is coming closer. I know you are getting ready for it. So at the same time, let us finish our courses also and then enjoy. So till then, take care and thank you.